I wrote it down here to tell myself. I don't like things down. Yeah, I used to say, I would more dash in my car. I wonder if I got stuff for students. Consider it because I have all these lights. I'll just mention this first once we get started and then we can get them to you. Because I think we already did this last week. We just need to write up and do this stuff. Okay, I have 6 o'clock, so I think we can get started with the meeting. One thing I want to bring up before we start is you have a couple documents at your seat that you need to board members sign. The Clarion County Career Center agreement, which we voted on last month, but we weren't here, so if you sign that, give it to Tammy, as well as the computer and internet acceptable use policy for this year. And I don't know, does everybody get one of these? Okay, everybody should have a statement of financial interest too. So Tammy needs those if you would fill those out sometime tonight and give those to her. So at this time, we rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tammy, could you do the roll call of members?
Gary Armagoss here, Megan Rare, Brady White, here. Diane Page, here. Jeff Powell,
Here.
Corey Sherman,
Here.
Janine Stump, here. Eric Sunlight,
Here.
Kelly Chavoy.
Here. Thanks, Tammy. Okay, do I have a motion to consider the minutes from the December 1st voting meeting, the January 10th workshop meeting, and the January 17th voting meeting as were attached in your packets?
So I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion, second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion carries. All right, so I want to thank everybody that's here tonight and with you. And at this time, we have a presentation by Maria.
Good evening, everyone. It's so nice to see all these familiar faces. I have a short presentation that I would like to show you. I thought a PowerPoint might be the most effective way to share with you what we encounter in the work of the Family Center. It's been about 5 years since I've done a presentation, so this is pretty exciting. Thank you. Well, I answered without you.
That's what we all say.
We all
I am Maria Clark. I'm Director and Home Visitor at the AC Valley Family Center. And I'm happy to say, I get this to work, 30-year anniversary. It's crazy. 30-year anniversary. And thank you so much to all of you for supporting the Family Center and the work that we do. We started in 1992 with 75 families, and currently we have seen 750 families. So that's tremendous. Our program is designed because the way it is because babies are born to learn. On the left, baby Avery, she's one of our currently enrolled babies. The other two, which are kind of hard to see, those were my babies that were enrolled. Our mission statement: to support children and their families by emphasizing positive child development, encouraging economic self-sufficiency, connecting families to the services that they need, and establishing an early and positive link between families and school. We work on that one every day with our encounters with parents. Our method: we do home visits, screenings, referrals, and group connections. What is a home visit? Some of you might know from your own experiences. You might come from a family that was involved. You might have worked for the Family Center, or some of your family might have. There's 3 parts to a home visit: the parent-child activity, development center parenting, which might include topics like attachment, discipline, sleep, nutrition, safety. Imagine all the things that a parent's faced with. We help them with those. Family well-being topics like physical health of the family, mental health of the family, employment, job readiness, transitions and routines of the family. And I like this quote by Fred Rogers: "We speak with more than our mouths, we listen with more than our ears." That's what our home visitors are. They have many ways of engaging with the families to help meet their needs. Some of our data. I know you get a lot of data. That'll share some of mine. So almost 40,000 home visits to date. That's a lot. That's a lot in our little school district. Right now, we have almost 400 for the year. Some of those have been in person and some of them have been virtual, thanks to our friend COVID. Screenings that we do with children. We do developmental and social screenings with them so that we might make the appropriate referral should they need it. We do healthcare and vision, dental, and safety screenings so that they are getting the well child checkups, the immunizations, and if they have medical issues, those are being given attention. With parents, we also do some screening. We have a parenting inventory we do, and we screen all parents for depression and domestic violence because that makes for a healthy home when those things are taken care of. The referrals that we do, of course, some of them are basic essentials like utilities, housing, and those kind of things. Early care and education and early intervention can go on in that one too, because if we screen someone and there are concerns, then we would refer for early intervention. Employment and higher education, healthcare, recreation and enrichment, and that's a big one because families are always looking for ways to enrich their children. What can we do in this community? One of the big referrals for us, especially in October, November, December, are Angels for Christmas. We couldn't do it without the community. This last year was huge. We had about 80 families, 180 kids, and our volunteers and community made it all possible for us to provide coats, clothing, shoes, boots, toys, hygiene products, socks, coats, so many things for those kids. We also have group connections. That's a big part of what we do. We have 2 reasons for that. One is education and one is socialization. Some of them have been in person in the last year or 2. Some of them have been virtual. See Chris with the kite, that was a virtual one. She did the story Kite Day. went out to the field with their family, showed people how to fly a kite. It was great. We've had swim parties, we've had play groups, we've had ABC Music and Me with little fella there playing that triangle. We've had ice cream socials and picnics in the park, and painting in the park was huge. Kids love that. We didn't think they'd sit still, but they did. Down on the farm out in Nickelville, play groups. Some of my favorite ones we had in the fall. Just getting together with other people, carving a pumpkin, playing in the leaves, fun things like that. It helps people connect. But our all-time favorite, and it's our most requested, is our Marty party. It's a crazy dance party. We've had some here and some in Edmonton. And our host, Marty, he just lets it fly. He gets out there and has such a good time with the kids, and we all have a good time with him. He's crazy. He shoots toilet paper. In that lower picture there? It's crazy. The kids just go wild. But having those kinds of experiences with their families, that's what makes it fun. But there's a little secret. I don't usually keep secrets, so I'll share this one. For about 11 years, we've been serving second-generation families. And I'm happy to say the little fellow on the left with the snowman picture that he made while he had COVID, his mom and dad were both in the first program, and now he and his siblings are in the first program. And the young man on the right with his newborn son was one of the kiddos that I visited, and his two children are both in the program. And for Chris and I, it's been 29 years in the program, and it's been fantastic. One of the great dignities of humankind is that each successive generation is invested in the welfare of each new generation. And that's what makes this work. Every parent wants to be a good parent, and every parent wants what's best for their child. And so do we, and so does this district. So I just want to thank you for all of your support over the past 30 years. And I look forward to 3 to possibly at least 5 more years. That's what's on the horizon right now, coming from Octo. So, does anyone have any questions for me?
How do you get family referred for you?
Well, we can accept referrals from any agency, teachers, anyone in the community, but I will tell you what, we don't advertise because we always have a waiting list. And just recently, my new hire, Amanda Perry, enrolled 3 new families, all 3 babies born in November, all 3 preemie babies, all 3 first-time moms seeking support, and all 3 stable homes. So it's not like they're the needy families. It's not like they're the at-risk families necessarily. It's people wanting support, people who don't maybe qualify for anything else, and they just want to know they're doing a good job. And most often they have been told by someone else, oh, you should be in the first program. And nobody likes being told there's a waiting list. So I do say, well, we might have a waiting list right now, or we do have a waiting list, could I refer you to another program? No, we'll wait. So sometimes there's a little bit of a wait, but the families usually call us, which we are thrilled about. We very seldom have families drop out because they like their services. Things might get too busy, life might kind of drag them down a little bit, make it hard for them to meet with us, but we do what we can.
How long do you work with families? Like, is there an age cutoff that you have?
We can work with them through kindergarten. And year before last, when COVID hit, we did tend to hold on to some of those kiddos through that kindergarten year, since it was so difficult with all the virtual learning, to give those parents some extra support. But typically, when they enter kindergarten, we typically exit them, and that's usually when like July 1, we'll usually take on more families. Yeah.
So how many believe you try to keep, what's the number?
Our number right now is 34.
34 families.
34 families is our current enrollment. Yes. And
they're all in our district.
all in our district. So we do have a small contract with Clarence County CYS, and we do currently have 2 families and 1 more on the brink of enrolling. that we can go out and see. So, and those aren't necessarily open cases with CYS, there are families that want support that are not, and not served by any other service. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much.
Also up here on the table, if you get a chance after the meeting, there are some items that the students have made for School Board Appreciation Month, which was last month, but we were virtual. So you might want to take a look at some of these nice things that they made for us. Okay, do we have any public participation this evening? Okay, not seeing any. Any board concerns? I'm just gonna bring up that, I don't know, you should have gotten a notification, PSBA has a board survey out there, if you got your email, I'd like to encourage you to take it, they're gathering some statistics for the state, so if you could take your survey, that would be appreciated. Anything else? Okay, not seeing any, we'll move into the consent agenda. Is there anything you would like removed from the consent agenda and voted on separately? Okay, do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll move to accept the consent agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion at all on any of the items? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion carries. All right, Eric, would you like to do finance and purchase since Megan's not here tonight?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Finance and purchase, letter A, approval and authorization to pay bills for February 2022.
And you can lump those, Eric. We usually lump A through H into one motion.
A through H,
Yes.
okay. Do I read them all then?
You don't have to.
Okay.
You could just say, make a motion to approve A through H.
Approval A through H,
Second.
Okay, any discussion on those? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
brings us up to I. Cafeteria reports, Stacey Red.
Hi, everybody. Cafeteria, I am happy to say that even though we are still having issues getting maybe exactly what we're looking for through US Foods, USDA, they are starting to find substitutes for us, so our supply chain issue isn't as big of a problem as it has been. I'm not having to reach out to outside vendors maybe once every 3 to 4 weeks instead of that every week. US Foods and USDA is back on their every week and every other week delivery, so that has been a godsend. It's nice not to have to reach up outside. Dr. McDivitt and I have a webinar, I believe Wednesday or Thursday this week. The state has sent out a webinar, they've got some additional funding. We're gonna sit down and look at the webinar. It looks like $5,000 plus maybe a little bit more split between districts based on need and enrollment, to help cover the cost of some of the increases that we've had in strictly US produced or American made items and with little process. So we're talking our milk, our fruit, canned fruit, or anything like that, that we had to reach to an outside supplier to get at a much increased cost. So we're hoping that that number will go up maybe from the 5,000, and that will come in to help offset those expenses a little bit. Our numbers were remaining steady. Last week, they went up quite a little bit. Breakfast remains pretty steady, but our lunch is increasing. Now, we do serve 18 breakfast and lunch for our prepaid program, which are not included in our reimbursable numbers. And also we do between 18 and 20 a day for Head Start that are not included on our reimbursable numbers. But for the first time since Robin's been here, and it's been a hot minute that she's been with the district, we hit 305 at lunch last week down at the elementary. and over 200 at the high school. And our enrollment down here right now is 323. So we are serving a very, very large proportion of our students right now. And I am certain it has to do with the increase of cost in food outside and it being free. That being said, we still haven't received news that I'm aware of, whether or not they are going to continue the SSO with everybody being free next year, or if it's going to go back to the regular NSLP, the National School Month Program. I have the second part of orientation in Harrisburg in April, where I assume we will probably find out the answer to that question for certain. And also, they have put out that they are starting 3 new updates to the nutrition that we have to provide for the kids as far as whole grains, as far as the 1% or lower milk. We meet that already. That started before me, so I'll continue that. The biggest one and the biggest change we're going to see is the sodium requirement. They're looking to move that down to 305 milligrams or less on average daily for breakfast, which is going to change our breakfast in a very big way. I really didn't understand how much that would be until I started looking through the kitchen last week. Our 1% milk is 85 milligrams. Sausage is over that. We're not going to be able to serve it. An egg patty is 110 in and of itself. We will not be able to do cereal and a cereal bar. That will put us over the 300 with the milk. So I am hoping, the second part of the orientation, a lot of that is menu planning and looking at those requirements and still meeting all of the other requirements that we have to meet for meat, your meat alternative, the vegetables won't change. I don't see the vegetables changing or the fruit, of course, but a slice of cheese is 225 milligrams of sodium. And for us, one serving of cheese is 2 slices to be a meat alternative. So breakfast is going to be an adventure, I think, to learn. There were some questions in the webinar I was in last week from a gentleman in Utah, because this is a nationwide thing, wondering if USDA is going to get some producers on board to start producing items for child nutrition that will help us meet these requirements. And I'm truly hoping that they do, because like I said, I love that the kids can come through, that they aren't hungry. I love that they want the children to be healthy, but at the end of the day, I don't want them to leave hungry, because the huge bag of Doritos that they eat when they get home will undo everything that we're trying to do here. So I'm truly hoping that we have a production or producers that will look into this, because I'm just not 100% sure how this is going to work. I'm positive about it. I'm certain that they'll have a way for us to do this, and I hope to have more information on that. That is over Easter break, so it'll be the 18th, 19th, 20th of April. So probably by May, I'll have more information for the board on how we're going to do the menu planning and make that all work, and whether we'll continue the SSO or if the kids will start paying for their lunches as at free and reduced, and then pay prices again. I'd like to say thank you to the maintenance staff. I know there aren't many here, but we have kept them really busy for some reason the last couple of months. A seal here, a little leak there, our dishwasher over here. So they're really amazing. And with Danny being out and then Mark being out and then COVID and having one, and then for like a 12-hour period there, I said I think one was on COVID and the other one couldn't come back. So they've really done an amazing job. And the custodial staff stepping in to help us when we're short-staffed, and really picking up and helping us with the tables and cleanup and anything that we need. We would not have been able to get through the number of children that we are serving right now without them, and they have been absolutely amazing. So I truly appreciate that. We had our first wellness committee meeting. I had not been through one of those before, but we had, I believe, 4 high school and 4 elementary staff, and we got some menu update ideas that I'm hoping we can institute back to them. They really want their popcorn chicken bowls back. So I'm going to look and see if that still meets our nutritional requirement. And a big hit was they wanted grape juice back at the high school, and we can't keep it in stock. If it's little things like that that we can do to keep them happy. So it was fun to hear from the students and get their input and find out what they liked, what they really weren't crazy about that we thought they were, but they just really weren't. So we're looking at some menu changes to keep within that, and looking at the sodium requirements of those things now, so I don't incorporate something back in that we're going to have to remove again. But other than that, everything's going very well, and I really thank everyone for their support and how much help that they've given us this year, because It's been a wild ride for everybody. We appreciate it very, very much.
We don't have to do anything with that, we just move on.
Okay, moving on to J. Consideration to approve the proposal for preliminary survey design for football field improvements between geotech engineering and Allegheny Clear Valley High School, the amount of $3,500 as attached. Motion for a second.
Second.
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded, do we have any discussion? This is just to get us an idea of what we're talking about cost-wise, if we're gonna do anything with the field, or what we can do. Then we gotta determine where the money's gonna come from. I personally think we need to start talking to the community, because we're gonna need some help. You know, I don't know how we're gonna fund the whole thing, district alone, so. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Under K, consideration to approve the transfer of elementary autistic support classroom currently housed in room 109, the Allegheny Clear Valley Elementary School, from Riverview and Meeting 6 to the Allegheny Clear Valley School District. So moved.
Okay, moved and seconded, any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
L, consideration to approve incorporating a 7th through 12th grade autistic support / life skills classroom in the Allegheny Clear Valley Junior Senior High School prior to the start of the 2022-2023 school year. So moved.
Okay, moved and seconded, discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve the purchase orders from BSN Sports LLC for 4590 football uniforms with blue, gold, white, total cost of $15,660. Be divided equally between the ACV and Union, $7,830 per district as attached. So
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
consideration to approve the E-rate application process of Category 2 funding for the 2022-23 school year as attached. So
Okay, moved and seconded, you have a paper at your seat that explains what Jeff and Aaron and what they're attempting to do here. And again, we get quite a E-rate, we get a 70% discount, so I think it's a good move for us to take advantage of.
And this is just all hardware, our guys will install it.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you very much, Eric. Diane, would you like to do personnel?
Sure. A, consideration to transfer Ashley Miller from the intermediate unit 6 to the Allegheny Clarion Valley School District, starting in the 2022-2023 school year. All years of seniority, sick days, and personal days will transfer with her employment start date referenced in financing purchase item K. So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Just keep in mind that we're taking the IU classroom back, we're gonna expand upon it, but that transfer of entity, in fact, that was written in 2001, required us to transfer that employee over as well. And that's what we'll be doing is Ashley Miller's a teacher in the class, and she'll transfer over our sick days, or seniority, and years of service as well.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
B, consideration to approve advertising in-house only at this time for a 7 to 12 special education teacher to fill the artistic support / life skills classroom, reference to finance and purchase item L. So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Can I work together, C throughout?
Yes.
Okay. Consideration to actively approve the request from employee number 287, number 389, number 344 for unpaid leave. So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
I don't think I put it up in there.
No, you didn't. So you
Consideration to approve the request from employee number 133 after exhausting all sick, emergency, and personal days to take leave under the Family Medical Leave Act as needed. Updated letter is attached. So moved.
I'll second.
moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
G, consideration to accept a letter of intent to retire at the end of the 2021-2022 school year from Lauren Kersey, elementary school counselor, dated January 31st, 2022, as attached. Lauren has been employed with the district since November of 2004. So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. We need to thank Lori for her time with us, and this is her letter of intent, so she will file another letter that confirms that she will be retiring.
H, consideration to accept the letter to retire at the end of the 2021-2022 school year from Jody Shapley, Superintendent Secretary, dated January 31st, 2022, is attached. Jody has been employed in the district since May 1997. So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any other discussion? I know David's not happy about this, but being retired, I don't blame her.
Yep, good for her.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
I, consideration to approve the superintendent secretary job description as attached. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
J, consideration to approve advertising the position of the superintendent secretary. So moved.
I'll second.
Discussion? David, will that be advertised internally and then?
Both at the same time.
Okay.
And then part of me discussed group, so.
Okay.
Open it up.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Okay, consideration to accept the letter of intent to retire at the end of the 2021-2022 school year from Jacqueline Caldwell, dated February 1st, 2022, is attached. Jackie has been with the district since September 1989. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Again, we are losing some good people here, but I can understand why they want to retire.
L, consideration to approve hiring a part-time speech language pathologist.
Okay, we're gonna change that, Diane, to, we're gonna post for it. We have to post it, advertise first.
Okay. We're gonna advertise for a part-time speech language pathologist, so moved.
Second.
That's moved and seconded. Any discussion? David, do you want to explain? Well, you talked about it Monday night, but in case,
Just our speech teacher has 58 students on her list. She can work up to 65 students. So as we prepare for the end of the year, and more importantly for next school year, we're anticipating at least 10 students who've been identified coming in from the early intervention program. So that would put Wendy up over her case count. So we're hoping to offer her some assistance. If we can get a part-time speech pathologist, would be great. And if not, we could contract potentially through the IU or maybe a third-party vendor. We just need to make sure that we're supporting our young ones coming into kindergarten and such.
any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve hiring Stacy Fox as a co-head track coach for the 2021-2022 school year at the contractual rate of pay for an AC Valley head coach, supplemental salary of $3,675. All required paperwork is on file in the district office. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? We need to thank Stacy for stepping up to the plate once again. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
And consideration to approve advertising for 2 assistant track coaches. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
That was an in favor, I believe.
Yeah.
Opposed? Thank you. I jumped too quick on that. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve the request from Dr. Michael Woodward to remain a volunteer with the baseball team during the 2021-2022 season. All required paperwork is on file in the district office. So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, we move on to instructional services. Brady, could you lead us through that?
Oh, yeah, sure. Elementary report.
Thanks, Brady. The first thing I'd like to highlight tonight is our after-school program, which we got underway on February 7th. This program is one of our ESSER-funded projects, and it's designed to provide skill-based tutoring for students who have shown that they are reaching, but need some extra support to get closer to their grade level targets. We selected students for the program using their scores on our local assessments, such as iReady, Dibbles, a series of math assessments that Mr. Heil uses. And from there, I think we had a list of about 45 students identified, and then the teachers reached out to the individual families to invite the students to the program. And then we set up from there whether they needed help with ELA, math, or both. The program runs Monday through Thursday from after school until 4:30. We have Mondays and Tuesdays designated as ELA nights where they're receiving ELA assistance, and Wednesday and Thursday is for math. Currently, we have 18 students registered to receive ELA supports and 24 students in math. So it's been a pretty good turnout. And I'd like to thank the teachers who are providing assistance for that program. They are Carrie Longo, Derek Harold, Trevor Heil, Sarah Black, Jennifer Jordan, and Tracy Hedrick. So I appreciate them coming forward to help with that program. Next, we have begun our 22nd, actually it's over now, our 22nd annual personal safety program. This was just last week. It's presented by Passages, Inc. from Clarion and Jefferson counties. We held that from February 14th to the 18th, thanks to the efforts of our school counselors, Mrs. Kearney and Mrs. Rice. The students in kindergarten, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade received presentations on safe, unsafe touch and the 6th grade program was about internet safety. A letter with information about those programs as well was sent home to families in early February, as well as contact information for passages if they had more questions. Since the last meeting, I hosted a luncheon to celebrate our Quarter 2 superstars. That was on January 21st. Those students were Beckett Conway, Nolan Smoretzky, Brooke Bartmus, and Bo Minnix. And I want to say a special thanks to Stacy Redding and her staff for providing us with an excellent meal. And the students are always excited that they get an invite where they get to choose they're picking from a menu what they want to eat. So they really enjoy that special lunch, and we sit up on the stage so that all the kids can see them having their luncheon. The Superstar program is part of our PBIS efforts. We recognize individual students who go above and beyond our everyday expectations here at school to be safe, responsible, respectful, and ready to learn. They're nominated by any staff member who witnesses their continuous extra efforts. And then we also highlight the students along with our weekly Starbucks winners on our school Facebook page. So if you follow along there, you'll see their pictures. Lastly, progress reports for Quarter 3 were sent home on February 16th, which is hard to believe we're that far already. Along with that, individual student PSSA reports from the spring of 2021 finally arrived, so those were sent home. And the kindergarten registration information forms. And those are what I really want to talk about tonight. The form is for parents to alert us if they have any incoming 2022-23 kindergartners. And if they don't, they may pass those on to friends or neighbors that they know do have incoming kindergartners. Once we receive those forms, the office will prepare a registration packet to send out with information about actual registration days and the process for registering. We will also be posting these forms on the school website, so if anyone out there needs one and did not receive one, you can go there to print it, or you can always call the elementary office to let us know that you need that kindergarten registration packet. Incoming kindergartners need to be 5 years old by July 1st. That is our cutoff date. And that's all I have for my report tonight.
Thank you. Secondary report.
I only have a couple of items tonight. First, a couple of important dates. On March 3rd, 4th, and 5th, the high school musical will be in town. So make sure you come up at 7 o'clock to the high school auditorium and see a great production for this year. Spring sports start on March 7th. Our winter sports teams have already completed their seasons, and I hope to have their reports for next month. The last piece that I want to talk about in a little more detail is a survey that I was able to give to the students. I gave you the results of the survey. They should be at your desk. I created this survey in conjunction with a couple of my student representatives, board representatives sitting here. And you can see the questions down along the bottom. And it's really a survey that's just an opportunity for us to get a perception of how the students feel about their academics, about personal supports, homework, and finally, what they feel about school in general. I'd like to point out some of the data points that are on that survey. For instance, question 3, do you feel that you are learning in a positive environment? So if you look there, the scale of this survey is 0 to 5. So having a 3 is right in the middle. So you can think for that question, a 3 would be, well, I don't feel a lot about it, but I don't feel negatively about it either. So you can look down through there on question 3. If you notice, 10th grade had an average score of 4.21. So that tells me that, 10th grade in particular feel pretty good about learning in a positive environment. The average overall, if you drop all the way down there, 3.88 for that question, also tells me that a majority of the students, the ones that took the survey, not 100% of the students took the survey, but a majority of the students feel pretty good that the environment at the high school is positive. Turn your attention also to question 9, which is how much time does it take to complete homework? The scale on this question, again, 0 to 5, except in this particular question, hours. And you can look down through there, question 9, and the average being 2 hours a day. Some grade levels reporting a little less homework, time on homework. And I find that interesting because a lot of our students, if you don't know, this school has a particularly large group of students that are involved in athletics and music and in other after-school activities. So to do an average of 2 hours of homework on top of that is pretty remarkable to me. I think this board knows how I feel about homework. It's an important piece, but I also feel that there has to be balance. We have to understand that kids have lives and that we need to find a balance with those things. Finally, question number 12, how do you feel about school? Again, 5 being, in the survey it says love school, 0 being hate school, and the average at 2.97 for all grades. Not impressive to me, but I mean, you know, come up with an average of almost exactly 3 is not too disheartening. One of my own personal goals is to make the high school a place where every kid loves to come every single day. If you look at the individual grades there, surprisingly to me, 7th grade averaged out at 3.6. I would think that 7th grade wouldn't be that high. And it does drop pretty dramatically for 8th and 9th grade. But for 7th grade to come up with a 3.6, I'm pretty happy about that. I'm going to use this information to drill down even a little bit more, probably come up with another survey. For instance, under the question about loving or hating school, what particular things about school do they love or hate? I think that the high school and my staff would agree we need to build upon our strengths, work on our weaknesses, and continue to try to create an environment where kids want to come to school, where kids want to come and learn, and where they feel cared for and loved by human beings. That's my goal. If you have any questions about this survey or how we developed it, how I went about giving that to the students, just ask me and I'll fill you in. As one final piece, I'd like to turn it over to my student reps if they have anything to add or to comment on.
So we were able to get in one of our first meetings with our senior project mentors. So our mentors, they are for students, each student from 9th grade to 11th grade has mentors. We're probably going to get in a few more meetings here throughout the rest of the year, but here back in February, this month was our first meeting. So our mentors were able to help us with some of the materials and the requirements for senior projects. And most of our mentors created Google Classrooms, and they are able to share information with us through Google Classrooms and Gmail. So if we ever have a question about our senior projects, we can always contact our mentors or even talk to Mrs. Lowe or even Mr. Furman.
Okay, thank you. If you have any questions also about mentorship and how the graduation project or the senior project is being put out to the students, just let me know. And that's my secondary report. Thank you.
And thank you to the students for attending this evening. We appreciate you being part of our school board meeting, so thanks.
Federal programs report.
The district has applied and been approved for the ARP Homeless Children and Youth Grant in the amount of $7,310. The district has also applied and been approved for the ARP ESSER Set-Aside Grant. We've already began to receive funds in for this grant. And last week, our ARP ESSER grant has been submitted. And that's all I have for federal programs.
Thank you. District report.
Thanks, Brady. I'll start off with a summary of the governor's budget proposal. It was his 8th and final budget, and this is only a proposal. He does have an increase of $1.25 billion that will go through the fair funding formula. Keep in mind there's winners and losers. So it looked like maybe $385,000 additional dollars for AC Valley if that budget is adopt it as it's presented. But keep in mind that we have a House of Representatives and the Senate Republicans as well. So it may be very difficult moving forward with that budget. There's a $300 million level up fund that's also included to provide the 100 most underfunded schools additional money. 200 million additional dollars going into special education. 6 million additional dollars for career center, and then $16 million, which is a 2% increase in student transportation. More to come on the budget proposal as they continue through with the hearings. Part of that budget proposal is a charter school funding reform proposal. And under the governor's budget, he's establishing a statewide cyber tuition rate of $9,800. And all the superintendents in the state are supporting that notion. There's also an audit going on right now with the cyber charter schools. So hopefully we can get some accountability and some savings here at the district. Some of those changes with cyber school funding is additional regulations that will promote transparency, equity, equality, and accountability for implementing the charter school law. They're going to clear up the application process, and charter schools are to follow the same fiscal management for their auditing standards. And that right there is a key proposal that we've been discussing for close to a decade. They only submit a form that has a 363 form, and that's it. They don't have the detailed budget expenditures and revenues like we submit. So if we could get that type of accountability, it would be moving in the right direction. There's been a change in substitute teacher certifications as well. There was a Act 91 that was passed, and this helps to ensure that we're able to provide coverage, and it's called a classroom monitor permit. So we're able to utilize students that have 60 credits and have met the pre-employment background checks and such, and we can utilize them to cover subs. They can't create lesson plans and develop them, but they can be in there to work with the students and ensure that the students are being educated. So that's definitely a step in the right direction, and we have 2 subs right now that fall underneath those new regulations. In addition to that, I've been meeting with Sherry Smith from the Pennsylvania Department of Education. She's on the senior leadership team, and she's meeting with local superintendents to get a pulse about the instruction that's going on, some of the needs that we have, and it's really a open format for us to have a two-way conversation. Today we had an Act 80 day, and we had all our staff here, teachers and aides. We started off today at 8 o'clock with the kickoff of the Magellan Employer Assistance Program, and we rolled that out today, and that was a program that we had agreed to a couple months ago. Part of the day included a group of our teachers that were being recertified in CPI, crisis prevention intervention. We have 2 teams at both schools that if students in harm of hurting themselves or hurting somebody else, and we have de-escalation techniques that include hands-on restraints, and we get certified every year. The group of elementary teachers spent some time in the letters training in the elementary, and then we also had a couple presenters come in today to work with the aides and the remaining staff for the mental and behavioral health issues and concerns that we've been talking about. Seemed like a good day for everybody involved. In addition to some of the changes with special education, I've been talking about cyber and charter school reform. We met with the Titusville Cyber Director, Mike McGackey, and he came down, and Titusville has a group of teachers that actually create online content, and they instruct the students through a virtual platform, but there's a live teacher in there. It'd be a very similar cost to our current program. Just keep in mind, our current program is a canned course where the students log on and they work through different modules. There's not that teacher. So a lot of our staff members, Julie Raybuck specifically, does a lot of work with that. And this could be a really good option for us to adopt and potentially bring back some of the outside cyber schools. That's the difference between our program and the one that's outside is they have a live feed. They have the teachers actually teaching and providing remediation services. So I'm going to bring this discussion up with the technology committee, and I do have a contract. Zach, take a look at it, and I'd like to continue to discuss that option for next school year. And then just as I finish up, we did have a new school board orientation training on February 7th. We've reviewed the sunshine law and the right to know law and various school board policies. So I do thank the 3 new board members for coming in to meet with me. And Brady, that concludes my report.
Thank you. So do I need to go down through and do all these bullet points? Okay.
Yep.
Consideration to approve the 2022-2023 district calendar as attached. So
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Just a couple updates. We're 1 day off the Career Center. We have almost 400 hours up there with our students. We eliminated 3 45-minute early dismissals to provide them with 3 additional days. And we do have 2 Act 80 days on there that are going to be half days that are set up for parent-teacher conferences or professional development. We have snow makeup days built into the calendar, and we do not have a graduation date set at this time, but we'll see how this May 29th, the Sunday date goes, and we can continue to adopt that. So those are a couple of changes I just wanted to make note of.
Any question I would have, David, we had discussed about doing something with open house and making that part of the calendar as far as like a teacher time. Do you look at that at all, or you want to wait and do that another year, or?
I mean, we could do that. I had that first Act 80 day, that half a day on November 11th, which that may be pretty far into it. We can modify that and move that earlier on in the year so it doesn't turn into a parent-teacher conference. It's more of an open house.
What are your thoughts? I mean, I'm just thinking if we'd like to have all the teachers here for that, if we build it into part of the calendar, then they, will all be here.
in the past for your open houses, have all the teachers been here? Or there have been a couple that aren't able to make it?
Yeah, for the most part, we've had most of the teachers here. On occasion, if there was a coach who had an activity that evening, he or she would not be there. But yeah, for the most part, ready, they have it.
But that was part of the 6 hours.
They had the option to use that as part of
Right,
the 6 hours.
because the
Correct.
previous contract, they had 6 hours they could use. That isn't in the contract now, so I don't know, I just kind of feel like if we're gonna ask them to be here, it should be part of their work now. I mean, they should get paid, it should be part of their work time that we're expecting. Any other thoughts on that?
I would agree with that, yeah.
Okay. So do you want to look at that and then bring this back next month?
Yeah, I can.
Whatever you feel would work the best. I mean, in the past couple of years, the in-service has been early in the year, right?
Yeah, the open house has been early.
That's what I meant, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, open house. So I don't know, 22nd and 23rd, of course, they're trying to get ready. I don't know, you can see what you think would work best, talk with the principals. And
I'll do that.
is that okay with everybody? So then we want to table this?
I do have a quick question about that. Then, so would you require the staff to be here then, like in the evenings, so parents can get here after their work, or would you have the open house more in the afternoon? Or because my only concern with that is if you don't have it towards the evening, then parents are still working in the afternoon. They're not going to be able to get here to see their students and what they're doing.
Right, it would be an evening thing, so that's
Okay.
why we would we would consider that part of their contracted time.
Okay.
And we take a half day off somewhere else.
So I need to amend the motion then to table this for the next meeting.
You second, Diane seconds, okay? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion carries.
Consideration to approve the baseball athletic cooperative agreement between the Allegheny and Clarion Valley School District and the Union School District starting with the 2021-2022 school year, and continuing through the 2023-2024 school year as attached. So moved.
Okay, moved and seconded, any discussion?
How are the kids getting there? Do we have transportation set up for this?
Yes, Mr. Sherman works out those bus schedules.
They were hoping to put like the football players maybe and whatever else all in the same bus, then that would save some money.
Or this was baseball.
This would be track, they were hoping for
Track.
track
Track,
and
track,
baseball on the
both.
same,
Okay.
so they come back and forth, because they will be sharing our field and their field, and they will be going back and forth. So if that's possible, that's logical to do,
Okay.
and Dave Sherman had suggested that, so.
That was my one.
So the athletic committee is in favor of us, okay? As long as, you know, you guys are the committee, so
It is what it is.
it is what it is. Okay, so any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Discussion related to the band agreement and co-op with the Eden School District.
Okay, so we're just kind of discussing at this point. We don't have any specific co-op agreement developed, but it's more of a discussion to see if we want to lean that way. We've discussed it before. We talked about waiting a year because we wanted to see how things progressed. Any points you guys need to make?
I question, what the numbers are gonna be. If we had 12 kids signed up this past year, we lost 5 seniors. Even with getting some of the kids coming up from 7th grade, I don't, Bill, I know you talked to Scott, so you have a better idea, but, we're really struggling with numbers, and it's very difficult. I think it's almost painful, if you feel bad for kids, because they are such, the numbers are so limited.
One thing though to keep in mind, the scheduled band is different than marching band. Marching band is an after-school activity that is not a credit class. During the school day, there's band and choir that are credit. So if you sign up for a regular band, for instance, during your 7th, 8th, whatever year you're in, you don't have to do marching band. Some schools make you. Some schools, if you sign up for concert band, you have to do marching band. You can do marching band and not do concert band. So they are not intertwined at all. Clarion area, for instance, if you sign up, they make their marching band is a credit class. So it is scheduled during the day. So if you are in the Clarion area and you sign up for band, depending on what time of year it is, it's either concert band or marching band. And it's a credit, even though and they don't meet after school, they meet during the day. Does that make any sense? Okay, so I think Red Bank is an extracurricular. Red Bank is extracurricular, they don't get any credit, it's just volunteer. So, what kids schedule for their daily schedule is different than the marching band schedule. Marching band is completely elective, you don't even have to know how to play an instrument, you go to marching band if you want to. So marching band, you can't tell at the beginning of the year how many kids are gonna be in marching band, because that is all, it's all voluntary, and it's all after school, and you don't get any credit for it, and it's for a school credit. So you can't put concert band and marching band in the same category, in my opinion, because they're two different things. You're not comparing apples to apples. Because for marching band, you can have the band front kids, you can have, they used to have majorettes, none of that was in concert band. Concert bands do concerts after school, so Brady did concert band, he didn't do marching band. He didn't want to do marching band. We had Tyler Henry didn't do concert band, but he did marching band, because he went to the career center, because that's something else to keep in mind. Career center kids more than likely aren't going to get concert band in their schedules, just the way the schedules run. Which is, I've always felt bad for those kids, because some of them are very good musicians, some of them really enjoy it. So if they want to sign up, it's after school only for marching band. Just some 2 cents into that. My daughter was in concert band and marching band from 7 through 12, and we lived that life for the entire time. So I got very familiar with how that all works. Then he also was doing jazz band, which was after school. I don't know if he still does that or not. That was a totally different thing that was after the marching band was over. And again, you didn't have to be in a concert band to do that. You can sign up for jazz band if you wanted, and they did their own concerts.
I think as far as numbers go, it's the same as any other sport. We don't know how many football players are gonna have until that, so things like that.
I think in general, as we continue to struggle with numbers, participation numbers, whether it's baseball, football, whatever, we're moving to that co-op relationship. And it seems like band is the last remaining activity that for some reason that's going to go.
Well, cheerleading doesn't have an actual co-op.
They do. Well, maybe not an actual co-op, but they do.
They do a lot of,
Right,
yeah.
so that's not, right, we don't have an actual agreement for them, they would just kind of take that upon themselves.
But see, theirs is different because they practice together,
Right.
they perform together, everything's the same, that's all in conjunction, they don't cheer at separate times, like the band goes out and does 2 separate shows, and they might play together in the stands for some things, but they do, the cheerleaders come over here and practice, during the evenings with our cheerleaders, so it is.
Right, but and it's just a bit of informal one in most ways, because it's not a written agreement, so this one was like,
What do we need to do to move things forward, Carrie?
I have no idea.
I'm sorry, what was your question?
What do we need to do to help it? Because I don't want to see these kids not be
Well,
March
I know-
next year.
David and I were talking about, I mean, I guess we could kind of see what the numbers are, but
I don't think.
I don't know, but if we get to a game, I don't think it would be an issue to have them do some of the routine together. Maybe they could do one song, each group do a song, so they still have their own entity, but then do part of the program as a combined band. That way, that would help us if the numbers are low. And if they're not, that's great, they still have their own portion of the program. But again, then you gotta get transportation back and forth, so there's a whole other ballgame. How do we get those kids there? How do we get them back? I don't know what's the talk, or how would it look to add it to the schedule as a class? I mean, that would maybe provide some incentive to students to be in marching band, but it's still an after-school thing that everything else competes with.
That scheduling piece, I would say, would be almost impossible.
Okay.
Only because kids are from so many different grade levels.
Yes,
For each
Yeah.
grade, there's different requirements of coursework. I can't even imagine putting that together. But if I can add my 2 cents, though, I think that for those kids, the kids that are in marching band, the reason that they do it is for their performance. I mean,
right,
at parades, at football games, whatever the case may be, they just want to perform.
So wouldn't it behoove us to combine so that they always are able to perform?
I would say at least give them the opportunity. I mean, I think we've harmed the program by not sending them or allowing them to go to football games. For instance, just to use an example, Otto Elder, and I know it's 100 miles away, it takes forever to get there. But Union sends their band to every football game. So those kids are performing. And, I think that even if we made it an opportunity for our kids, that if you want to go with a Union band and play in the stands, and then possibly maybe, work out, like you said, one song that they could do, on the field together. Those types of things at least open up opportunity for them and allow them to perform, do what they love, and you might get some more kids. That's what I think. But, by restricting them and frowning upon or not allowing them to go to, every football game if they choose, I think that harms the program because it limits their ability to perform and do what they love.
Well, I think even with the football program, I'm gonna speak for my own kid. He decided in junior high he wasn't gonna play football, and then he has seen the success that the football team is now having with those cooperative numbers. And he's coming back out for football this year after taking that 2-year hiatus, and I was kind of shocked. He said, well, they're doing really well, and I think I wanna go back. So I think as they see those wins, and
Well, success breeds success.
it does,
And that's-
absolutely.
And that's,
And you're not going.
if we can get the numbers to.
so as far as scheduling, we're declaring this 9 through 12 for the marching band, so since we do 7 through 12, it would make it really good.
The current students that are going, staying at Valley, not graduating, what do they want to do? Do they want to combine a union? Do they want to stay their own entity?
I have not asked that question to any. But I know that some of them, over the years, since we've done the football co-op, some have approached me and said, you know, can we play with you? And, of course, they play in the stands when the two bands are together. But they've only done a few cooperative performances out on the field. The biggest one being over at Keystone, where all three bands play together.
Is there any way we could ask these students that are going to marching band next year what they want to do with their teams are? I mean, I don't want to make a decision for it's miserable if they're not going to like, they're not going to do. They're the ones, practices, they're the ones that are going to be in the stands with them, participate with them,
I know Dr. Catulio did put a survey out. I don't know if he included that particular question or not. It was more about, are you planning on participating next year? Things like that.
Didn't we get a tentative number of 25, I thought, in one of the
Yes,
emails that he had so far has come up with?
20 to 25 depends. But it might be good to get a different perspective and an unbiased look at those numbers as well. And ask that question. I don't know if kids want to travel to Union or not, or maybe they do. I mean, the football players and everybody else doesn't seem to have much of an issue with it.
I can come up with a survey and put it out. Something that touches on that particular subject too. Are you willing or would you mind traveling to be able to have the opportunity to play? Would you like just playing in the stands? Would you like performing on the field with the union? Those types of questions.
Would you send that out to all the kids, Dr. Jordan, other than just the band kids, to see if maybe that would entice more?
I could. Thanks to Mr. Howe, I have that ability now.
That's correct.
I know that some of the only audience has been getting the sixth graders to understand that when they go to seventh grade, that they can participate if they want.
And I don't know if we've communicated with the sixth graders at all. I don't know if
Yes, Dr. Tutulio has been down. He has data from that group right here.
Yeah, it might be a nice thing too to find out if they'd like to still keep their own entity as a school, but yet combine for some things, not at all one thing or all the other. I'm sure we could come up with a combined idea that if they want to still be the AC Valley Band, they could do that, but they could also be AC and Union for some of the shows. So.
And couldn't we transport if we decided to do that, and they decided with football players?
We could, and they wouldn't have to go every night if they do the
Right.
combined thing, they could do some practices, so there's a lot of options there.
And they go back, it's 1 week here, 1 week there.
Right.
It's not like it's every week.
Okay, so do you think you would have that information for next month? We can bring this up again and maybe come to more. And I don't know if we want to have Mr. DiTullio here to discuss things.
Yep.
What are your thoughts? We should probably have him here and see what his thoughts are. And okay. So we'll bring that back up next month to see where we stand. If anybody has any ideas between now and then, please share them so we can continue to pursue that.
Okay. District enrollment numbers as of February 15th, 2022 as attached.
I guess we do have the report, so. The school, go ahead, you can do E too. School police report.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay, Brady.
I didn't hear, I'm sorry. School police report.
This is, did 36 perimeter checks, 36 inside checks. Lunch details, 34. Parking lot checks, 1. Arrival details, 21. Dismissal details, 21. Assistant administration, 23 times. Training, I had update training required by the state to do 12 hours of computer classes. Had one safety meeting with Dr. Davis, Safety Council. Did 36 camera checks. Fire drills, we did 3. Today I went around, checked the barricade bars, and fire extinguishers, they're all good. I did 125.
Okay, we'll move on to policy. Jeff, would you do policy for us?
Sure. Okay, consideration to approve the first reading of policy number 918, Title I, Parent and Family Engagement as attached. So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. You can combine those second readings if you would like.
B, C, D, and E.
Yes.
Okay, combined B, C, D, and E. So moved.
B, C, and D, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, B, C, and D. So moved. Second.
Discussion on the second readings of those policies. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
E, consideration to approve the PSBA Principles of Governance and Leadership as attached. So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. I don't know. Corey, did we lose you?
No, I'm here.
Okay. Were you for or against?
For.
Thank you. We didn't hear you, so we were double checking. All right, we'll move on to facilities. And I don't think we have a maintenance report this evening. Okay. So Jameen, would you do transportation?
Yes. Item A, consideration to approve the request from Randy McClendon to add Charles Smith upon receipt of all appropriate documentation and an interview with administration as a substitute driver. So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Item B, consideration to approve the request from Pam Myers to add Billy Bobbert upon receipt of all appropriate documentation and an interview with the administration as a substitute driver. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. All right, Carrie, I'm going to let you take us to the end here.
Sure. Where is that report?
Pretty much just business as usual. We did accept the resignation from Frank Maganotti, the cooperative education instructor person who's been there since like they've started 43 years or something like that. So we decided he's going to retire. So we did vote to advertise that. We extended Joe Carrico, he's the superintendent of record, for 1 year to June 30th of 2023. And Tracy's still struggling to find a part-time custodian like everybody else is. She thought she had somebody, that person didn't work out. So if you know of anybody looking for 20 hours a week work, she's looking for somebody. Other than that, she's doing an excellent job over there. So.
I there was a meeting on the 26th of January, nothing of any great significance. I think the biggest thing that meeting was, the biggest part of the meeting was, they're making some technology upgrades to their main meeting room as far as audiovisual sound equipment, things like that. We do have a meeting this Wednesday. Other than that, nothing much of any significance. Correspondence.
Okay, you can see the correspondence that's listed there. We discussed both of those last week. Are there any questions on the information from Michelle Troutman or Megan Kerr? Any questions on either one of those? Okay.
Consideration to approve the resolution authorization to participate in Aaron's Cooperative Purchasing Program for the school year 2022-2023, and thereafter as attached. So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion? That's just another way for us to hopefully save some money by a large purchasing group. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. That's another piece of correspondence down there that we discussed last week. Just for your information, as well as the audit letter. Is there any questions on either of those? Okay.
Technology Committee update.
We have a meeting next month on March 21st, so we're meeting at 4 o'clock before the board meeting. So we will have something for you next month. If you folks have anything you would like added to our agenda, please let me know. And we'll make sure we touch on that.
And we did have an athletic committee meeting last week where we discussed the football uniforms, we discussed the baseball co-op, track. We discussed a little bit of track. It was a week ago. Yeah. I can't remember what we talked about. Bill? Baseball, track, football uniforms.
We celebrated the cheerleader success.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yes, we have, we did acknowledge the cheerleaders, so kudos to them, finishing 7th in the state. Several local schools had big success in the cheer competition. Montauk went to nationals.
Oh, wow.
He did down in Florida at the national level because of their finishing place at state, so, yeah, they all had a really successful trip to states. Anything else? Finance Committee?
We didn't have a meeting, but Megan Greer came in and reviewed the budget proposal with us.
And just FYI, Diane is now on the tech committee with myself, so you can contact Diane too if you have anything you want to add to her agenda. Okay, do we have any old business? Nothing I can think of. Any new business that we didn't add on here? No? Okay, then I guess we need a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Have a great night, everybody.
Please sign those ballots for me, so I can send those over tomorrow morning.
We can do the statement of financial interest and bring that back